Welcome to another episode of Football Scientific with me, Aaron Sauter. I'm a writer for the UFL News Hub and the CFL News Hub. I cover the San Antonio Brahmas of the UFL, the Hamilton Tiger-Cats of the CFL, the IFL, the Indoor Football League, the NAL, the National Arena League, and the ELF, the European League of Football. Today, we have a packed full show. Hopefully, it'll be quick, full of news and information. Also, a couple power rankings, my UFL power rankings after week 1 games. My NFL power rankings before the NFL draft, just kind of documenting some things and getting some foundation set for future conversations. Also, some business that's taking place in the IFL and the CFL and the ELF, so we're going to touch on that kind of momentarily as we go. My co-host today is Wolfie D. What up, yo? I am Wolfie D. Wolfie D, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you. Thanks for having me back. I happen to be back, man. All right, Wolfie D. So Wolfie D is going to help us as we go, but we're going to start off with my UFL power rankings. Don't you mean our UFL power rankings? You're talking about ours. We did a programming meeting. You sound just like Timmy. Timmy kept saying that. Well, that's what we did. We programmed and got together. Where's your accent going, Dingo? Wolfie D, what's happening? Wolfie Dingo? What? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, mate. I'm just mixing it up. I'm a character, quite a character. Roof, 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 roogaroo. All right, Wolfie D, let's get to the business here, okay? All right, so first in the UFL, I have my updated UFL power rankings based on the outcomes from this week. A bunch of movers and shakers, okay? So first, this week, number 1 in the UFL, based on last week's findings, last week's data points, would be our Arlington Renegades. They moved from roughly number 6 to number 1 because they upset the San Antonio Brahmas. Not saying the Brahmas are the best team in the league, but they won the XFL Conference last year. They came with high expectations. They came in expecting to have the best defensive front in the league and an explosive offense. Against the Arlington Renegades, they had neither. Boom. We're going to find out as weeks go on if that's because the Arlington Renegades are really good or because the San Antonio Brahmas are very average and below average. But this week, it looks like the Arlington Renegades are the best team in the league. They played an outstanding game on offense and defense. They dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Their running backs ran the game. Their quarterback, Luis Perez, looked pretty good. He just managed the game. He did a nice job, okay? Number 2, I got the DC Defenders. Why they upset the Birmingham Stallions. They would have been number 1, except for the fact they did not look like as complete a team as the Arlington Renegades. The Arlington Renegades were explosive offense and defense and special teams. It all looked great. Quarterback played well. DC Defenders was all about the defense. 8 sacks against Birmingham Stallions. Quarterback Alex Magoo just dominant on the defense. Producing turnovers and getting after the Birmingham Stallions. It was all about the defense. The offense really just managed the game. Jordan Tomu did not have his A game. He had 211 yards passing, but he was 17 for 37, which is under 50%. I wouldn't call that a great day. So I'm going to say that Arlington Renegades, DC Defenders, both impressive wins. Okay, Arlington Renegades a little bit better because they had a more complete performance. Of course, the DC Defenders probably beat the better team, the Birmingham Stallions, which are the unofficial kings of spring football. Okay, number 3, I got the St. Louis Battlehawks. Yeah, they're 1-0. And they won convincingly over the Houston Roughnecks. But I also looked at the Houston Roughnecks as the worst team in the league. I came in thinking they were going to be number 7 in the power rankings, with Memphis at number 8. But those teams are interchangeable for the most part. But right now, I definitely think Houston has the least good offensive line. I had heard that they had a better offensive line. They had a horrible offensive line, horrible defensive line, bad secondary. Quarterbacks, the first quarterback was a mess, and then Nolan Henderson came in and kind of did some things. So right now, St. Louis Battlehawks, they dominated, but they dominated a really bad team. They had no fans. So, I mean, that's why they're at number 3, getting pushed out of the way by Arlington Renegades and DC Defenders on the way up. Okay, number 4, I got the Michigan Panthers. The only USFL conference team with a win is the Michigan Panthers. They beat the Memphis Showboats. They dominated the game for the most part. But it didn't look to dominate the game. At the end, it was 26-12. They scored on a defensive touchdown. Memphis had a chance. Really, what Michigan has going on for them, they have a good offensive line, a really good defensive line. Bryce Perkins at quarterback was impressive compared to what I expected from him. He played a lot better. Danny Etling is Danny Etling. But Michigan Panthers are my number 4 team. They're number 1 in the USFL conference, so they have to be the number 1 team, okay? There are 3 teams in the XFL conference. Next, number 5, Birmingham Stallions. I got them in the bottom there. Their pass protection was horrible for Alex Magoo. Now, my question is it because the offensive tackles and the communication wasn't there for the Birmingham Stallions? Their offensive tackles definitely were not good. Alex Magoo looked hesitant. Okay, the running game was not overpowering. Usually Birmingham controls both lines of scrimmage pretty effectively. They did not control the offensive line very well. They did not get a push from their offensive line. And Drake Rollins is bringing pressure from all angles. And he'll expose the fact you have weak tackles. And they had weak tackles that bring double-edged pressure. They had nothing they could do about it. 8 sacks. So, I mean, Birmingham, they're going to play Michigan this week. So we'll learn a lot about Birmingham then and Michigan also. When they play this week, we'll see if the Birmingham's really that bad, if the Michigan Panthers are really that good. Most likely the truth is somewhere in between, but they're pretty similar teams. Number 6, Memphis Showboats look better than I expected them to. They look like a competent team against the Michigan Panthers. They did move the ball. They had a chance in that game. At one point, it was like 19 to, was it 20 to 12. And they were trying to get the onside kick, the 4th and 12. They got that, and then all of a sudden their quarterback threw a wild pass for a touchdown to the defense, going the other way. So, I mean, he kind of pooped the bed on that one. They had to go, and they looked like they had a chance. So, Memphis Showboats, better than expected, or Michigan Panthers not as good as expected. It's hard to say. We'll find out more when Michigan plays Birmingham, how good they really are. Number 7, big follower of the week. They were my number 2 team last week. It's the San Antonio Brahmas. Just disappointing to watch. Their offensive line was horrendous. That was a horrible showing by their offensive line. Hanging out Kellen Mond, their quarterback, to dry. Kellen Mond looked tentative. He did not look ready for the game. He has not really played much real football in a couple of years. He's been a backup in the NFL. So, I mean, he looked like he had not played much football. The offensive line looked like they had not played much football. That's real bad. And their defensive front was supposed to be one of the best in the UFL, and that defensive line was horrible. They got blown off the ball. They had no movements. They didn't get off blocks. They had no contained players. Wade Phillips usually builds a good defense. That defense was bad, and the secondary looked bored back there. They got a little chippy from getting beat down. Other than that, they looked bored and too little too late. I think San Antonio came in with the mindset that they were the best team in the league, and they were going to show that, but nope, they got rolled. Now, can they get off the mat and get after it and beat the St. Louis Battlehawks, which would be a huge win, and get them back in the XFL conference mix, okay? They need to do that this week. Huge game already. Week 2, huge game. There's only 10 weeks in this season. If you get down 0-3, 0-4, it's over. Just like it was for Arlington last year. It's over. You cannot do that, okay? Cannot get blown off the ball. Cannot be wrecked on the offensive and defensive line. Number 8, the Houston Roughnecks. Hey, they just need to start over. They need to get rid of C.J. Johnson. They need to probably hand rid of Tom Cable, although he's kind of a shady character himself. They need to move along with C.J. Johnson. He's had his chances. He's nothing. He's got nothing going on, okay? The team has no hope. They don't play with hope. They don't play with energy. They're not having any fans. Who would go see a team that doesn't really want to play anyway? I think they were hoping for the strike, honestly. They did not look into it. And their quarterback looked bad. And their other quarterback looked bad. Okay, all right. Nolan Henderson looked a little better than the other guy. Okay, all right. Okay, IFL. IFL had 2 games last night. Okay. UFL for my predictions. I went 2-2 in UFL predictions this week. So I think the power rankings will help. I think that will help restructure. I could not really get a good read on, obviously I read the Brahmas wrong. I thought they were going to be great. I think everyone read the Brahmas wrong. I read the Arlington Renegades wrong. I knew they were going to be a power football team. I didn't know they were going to be that good at running the ball. They're outstanding at running the ball. Okay. Defense was amazingly good. So, and then Birmingham, I figured Birmingham's going to beat DC because of the coaching situation, but I didn't know DC's defense was back, and they put the league on notice. They let them know, hey, we're back. We're going to play some good defense. I guess the O-line problems fixed for the Brahmas. Otherwise, that's going to be a massacre. In the IFL, there was 2 games last night. Arizona Rattlers beat the Tucson Sugar Skulls 56-28. They have 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league, Drew Powell and Dalton Sneed. When they got Dalton Sneed back, they pretty much injury-proofed themselves. Previously, when Drew Powell was the quarterback for the Rattlers, he would get hurt after the first couple of games. He runs the ball a lot. He's a dual threat guy. He would get hurt. They would lose. However many games he's hurt for, he would come back. They would be in the playoffs. Okay. This year, because they had Dalton Snead, who replaced him last year and won the IFL National Championship, they have both of them now. Okay, so if one guy gets hurt, they got the other guy to stick in. Dalton Snead had the same issue last year. He got hurt and Garrett Kettle had to step in, and they didn't start well because of that. Okay, they didn't start well because of that. But I think now they're kind of injury-proof. They got two quarterbacks who can play ball. They can both be dual threat guys. I think they're going to be tough to beat. They beat Tucson Sugar Skulls 56-28. I expected it to be a blowout. I won that one. Boom. Okay, one that was surprising to me, the San Antonio Gunslingers. I got no read on them. So the first time they played Tulsa Oilers, they did not live up to my expectations of being a scoring machine as they've been in the past, and they still don't. They are playing much better defense. Against the Bay Area Panthers last night, they got down early. Bay Area took the lead. It's 14-5 at one point, but then San Antonio Gunslingers turned it down on offense and started looking like their old self. Looks like they're getting back in a groove on offense, and they got some defensive stops along the way. Bay Area had a chance to tie the game up. They went out and scored late. They got an onside kick, but then they couldn't put it in one more time. So San Antonio got that. So my record right now in the IFL for week 2 is 3-2, and that puts me at 4-3 for the IFL so far, which is not good. Tonight, the Vegas Nighthawks play the San Diego Strike Force. I got the Vegas Nighthawks in that one. They picked up a kicker Friday. Hopefully that will make them a little better. They signed Dante Brown. I think they'll win that game. I think they're a more complete team than San Diego, although I do think it's going to be a shootout. I think it'll be a fun game. Too bad it's at 10 o'clock at night at Eastern time. I got school tomorrow, so I cannot stay up and watch that whole thing. But I can watch a little bit of it. I can watch more tomorrow on the IFL Game Pass, whenever. So let's go Vegas Nighthawks on that. Let's make me 4-2 for the week and put me at 5-3, which is not great, but it's a good jumping off point. I've learned a lot along the way, so I think next week I'll be able to jump in and do better. Okay? All right. IFL out of the way. NAL, last week I talked about the Carolina Cobras getting a new quarterback, James Summers. I looked at the transition list a little bit, and something's important for this week. The Shreveport Rougarou made a trade with Carolina on Friday. They picked up Carolina Cobras quarterback Vincent Espinoza, who was their previous quarterback, who got shut out against the Columbus Lions. He's now at a Shreveport Rougarou. They're a little bit different team. They like to run the ball. They quick pass. I think they'll be a better fit for Vincent Espinoza. And they sent running back Ladarian Galame to Carolina Cobras, who paid off for the Cobras. Plus they had that quarterback James Summers. I think that's why they sent off Vincent Espinoza. He wanted to go play somewhere. He wanted to go start somewhere. He didn't want to sit behind James Summers. And he kind of lost that job. So he's with the Shreveport Rougarou. We'll see how that turns out. They play this week against, I believe, the Idaho Horsemen. We'll preview that stuff on Thursday. But with a good quarterback, decent quarterback, that they might have a chance to win that one. That would be a good win. Okay. What else we got here? We also got a couple other things. Let's see. Shreveport also released quarterback Dylan Van Boxel. So they released him. I believe he had played in the Arena Football League last year. And then they replaced defensive back. They released defensive back Trayvon Leondon. Okay, all right. So Shreveport making some moves, trying to get themselves right. Okay. NFL. I'm going to lead off with is my NFL pre-draft power rankings, post-free agency, pre-draft power rankings. I would like to take a look at these power rankings and then look back after the draft to see which teams really made themselves better. So I'm going to go through these. There's 32 teams. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to go through it real quick. And if you disagree or agree, hit me up on the chat. Let me know. But my number one team in the NFL right now after free agency is the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champs. They got stronger at some positions. They moved some parts around. They brought back they paid some guys that might need to get paid. Saquon Barkley's coming back. I think they're still the best team in the league until someone knocks them off. Number 2, Detroit Lions. They made some moves. They kept getting better. They keep trying to keep it rolling. I think they'll dip this year, but right now they look the second best team in the NFL. Number 3, got the Baltimore Ravens. They just keep getting better, and that's bad for the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 4, I got Kansas City Chiefs. They've been to 3 straight Super Bowls. They lost this last one. They've been to 3 straight. So until someone throws it down on them, they're going to be at the top. Number 5, Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills are as good as the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. They're really in that, but they can never beat the Kansas City Chiefs when they need to. They can beat them during the regular season, but not during the playoffs. Washington Commanders. I think that they are a much improved team. They're getting better every week. So Washington Commanders number 6. Minnesota Vikings number 7. I think they've gotten better. They've improved their O-line. They've improved they changed their quarterback. Maybe it's hard to say what they're going to do there, but running back has been locked down. And they were a good team last year, but Sam Darnold, pooped the bed in the playoffs. LA Rams, they got that number 8. Looks like they're getting better. They're building around. They're successful in the playoffs last year. Number 9, Denver Broncos. I don't think they're going to be the best team in the AFC, but they're going to be good. They made the playoffs last year. I think they'll build off of that, and they'll be tough. Unless injuries can change all this, of course. Number 10, they got Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they'll be the best team in the South. I think Baker Mayfield's a legit quarterback. He should have been with the Browns probably, but I mean, he's the only legit quarterback in that. Proven quarterback in the South right now. Number 11, Green Bay Packers. NFC North, I think they're in transition. They're working on some things. They could bump up quickly. They could also bump down quickly. Let's see. Number 12, LA Chargers. I think they made some moves. They put out their running back. They're trying to build around Jim Harbaugh's mentality of power football. Number 13, Houston Texans. I mean, they're where they're at. They're a fringe playoff team. They're changing their offensive lineman around. It could be good. It could be bad. It's hard to say what's going to happen. They lost Stephon Diggs. They could dip in the South. I think I have them as the best AFC South team right now. Looking back, yep. Okay, so I still got them in the best AFC. I have them in the playoffs. Number 14, I got Cincinnati Bengals. I think they've made, with getting Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they have a chance to be very explosive on offense. I think they'll be very shabby on defense. They need to load up, I guess, on some picks in the draft. They need a running back, honestly. If they had a running back, they would have everything they need for offense at least. The defense is not going to look that great, but if they can score a bunch of points, that'd be fun, and they might be able to compete for a playoff spot. They'd be my last playoff team right now, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 15, San Francisco 49ers. They look like they're rebuilding. They're going into a rebuild mode, but they're kind of hanging on to Brandon Ayuk, and they're hanging on to Christian McCaffrey, and they got Brock Purdy. It's hard to say where they're going. I think they're going to a rebuild. They're kind of resisting it. Number 16, Chicago Bears was punched them into the top half of the league just barely, but I think they've got a lot better. They've improved their offensive line, defensive line, which you have to do in the NFC North, and they need a running back too. Caleb Williams, I don't believe in Caleb Williams, honestly. I remember him crying against Utah with his painted nails, and he was crying because Utah was mean to him and hurt his ankle. I just don't believe in that guy. So the bottom half of the league, number 17, Miami Dolphins. I think Tyreek Hill is looking and said he's open to a trade. And people are leaving Miami. I think their head coach, he had a flash of lightning in a bottle for a moment, but it's kind of wearing off. I think they're going to go back down. Okay. Number 18, Arizona Cardinals. They're ascending. They're coming up. They're very similar to the Chicago Bears. How good will they be? They might end up being the best team in the NFC West if you look at it. Everyone's just shaking up. LA Rams are probably the best team in the NFC West right now, but Cardinals could be right there. Number 19, Pittsburgh Steelers. They don't have a quarterback. They dropped out, from the top half pretty much. Mason Rudolph, they said, okay, Mason Rudolph could be their quarterback. They would be all right with that age. Aaron Rodgers. It's hard to say what's going to happen there. I guess they play catch with DK Metcalf this week. That's in my other part of my report. Number 20, Atlanta Falcons. I think it's hard to say what the Atlanta Falcons have done. They really haven't made any meaningful moves. They've made some not meaningful moves, and they might get rid of Kirk Cousins and have Michael Penix Jr. I just don't know where they're at. I think last year they're probably around number 20. I think they're still around number 20. They haven't moved. Dallas Cowboys at 21. That's probably better than what they should be, honestly. I don't know where they don't feel good to me, but they got a new head coach, and maybe we'll get some energy off that. Number 22, Seattle Seahawks. They're in a rebuild mode. They probably were in a rebuild mode last year, but they've actually outplayed their expectations. I think this year will kind of get hit with it. They moved along Geno Smith and brought in Sam Darnold. They might be all right, but I think they'll probably be third in the NFC West. Number 23, your Las Vegas Raiders. Big boost for them. They got Geno Smith, and that's a legit quarterback. They got Pete Carroll at running the head coach. They got Tom Brady in the front office. I think they'll be better. They won't be good, but they'll be better. Number 24, I got Carolina Panthers. They're ascending. They're getting better. They got better last year. They're not in the top half yet, but I think they could start moving that way. Indianapolis Colts, quarterback graveyard. It's gross. They were almost a playoff team last year, so going to 25 is pretty low. Jacksonville Jaguars, they're rebuilding. I don't know what to expect from them, really. Colts will probably be right in front of them, I'm assuming. Number 27, New England Patriots. They were 32 for me last year, end of the season, but now they're at 27. They moved up. Mike Vrabel's making some moves. They could be really good this year. They could be a big mover up. I don't see it right now. I see them adding a lot of pieces, but I don't see any game breakers in those pieces. Number 28 is Cleveland Browns. They're going down. They're a complete mess. Their owner finally came out, Jimmy Haslam, and said that this Deshaun Watson thing was a big mess. They really made a big mistake there. And the fact they said that shows some maturity. They matured. They're willing to say, yeah, Deshaun Watson, this was bad. Okay. New Orleans Saints, team without identity. I don't know where they're at. Derek Carr's there. It's hard to say where New Orleans Saints are. 29. Number 30, New York Jets. They're rebuilding around Aaron Glenn's leadership. 31, I got Tennessee Titans. I'm assuming they're going to pick up Cam Ward or trade down. I would trade down and get a lot of pieces on the draft picks. But if they pick Cam Ward, they'd probably be a little bit better than they were last year, slightly. And then my last place is the New York Giants. They've lost a lot, and they replaced a little bit. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. I think the pieces they've added are not that meaningful. So I think they'll still be the worst team in the NFC. Sometimes they grit out some wins. They do run the ball. They do try to grit out some wins. So I don't know. I think they're going to be real bad. Okay. All right. Some NFL transactions. The Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam. Yeah, he said Deshaun Watson was a big miss, and that's really set the team back. Former Panthers and Colts head coach Frank Reich. He's going to be the interim coach at Stanford for 1 year. I saw someone said, well, who's going to want to go play for Stanford when they know Frank Reich's only going to be there for 1 year? Because Andrew Luck, who's taken over as the AD, he said he's going to be there for 1 year only. I don't know. It sounds like a weird situation. I don't know. They're not very good right now, and they're in the ACC. It doesn't make any sense. Stanford's in a weird spot. Kansas City Chiefs. It's like they're kind of looking to make a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles for tight end, get Dallas Goedert, which would have to maybe be pushing out Travis Kelce. He might be getting pushed to retirement because they're looking to maybe get Dallas Goedert. They are another tight end there, so they're tight end rich. I don't know whether they add Dallas Goedert, but he's younger than Travis Kelce. Pittsburgh Steelers. They say they're happy with if Mason Rudolph is their starting quarterback, they're okay with that. If the Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't turn out and they can't get anyone drafted, maybe Jackson Dart. I've heard they've had interest in him. I would trade up with the Tennessee Titans if I was them. Reuse some picks, get Cam Ward, get the best possible situation for them with a young guy and build around it. They say Mason Rudolph, they're happy if he's a starter, they're okay with that. He'd be a good bridge guy. He'd be a good team guy to help out a young guy. I would draft someone, but I would move up to do it. I get Cam Ward. San Francisco 49ers, they're expected to keep Brandon Ayuk. They need to make a deal by today. Tomorrow he gets a $22.85 million bonus, so they're not going to move him. Atlanta Falcons still talking about Kirk Cousins. He said he's not going to let go of his no trade clause until after the draft, which is the worst time for him to not be with the Falcons because they're not going to get anything for him because everyone's already drafted their needs. Except for the bad teams who, maybe they'll make a bad deal. But Falcons are really the bad team. They could release him, and that would be horrible because that paying him a lot of money. They get nothing back for him. It'll be a huge misplay. Buffalo Bills signed punter Brad Robbins. Cleveland Browns are having dinner with Shedeur Sanders at Colorado Pro Day, trying to talk to him. Shedeur Sanders still on the radar there. Deshaun Watson says come back, but they said Deshaun Watson's a mess, so maybe they're looking at quarterback. Who knows what they're going to do? I wouldn't pick Abdul Carter or DN. I was watching some video of him. He only has one move. It's a speed move. It's a ghost move where he shows bull rush and goes under. But he has no bull rush to set that up, and he has no moves. His spin moves are horrible. So he seems very limited. I wouldn't draft him. Maybe the Giants will draft him, I guess. But she get Travis Hunter. Green Bay Packers, linebacker Elgton Jenkins has agreed to switch from left guard to center. Okay, Aaron Banks is going to come in for the left guard spot. So just being a good team player, guy, doing what he needs to do for the team. New England Patriots defensive tackle Christian Barmore. He's going to start working out in the voluntary offseason program for the Patriots. Last year he had a lot of blood clot issues. His health wasn't good, so he's going to work with the team and a voluntary offseason tree that helps him become more durable. New York Giants re-signed linebacker Ty Summers. New Orleans Saints signed offensive lineman Dylan Reddins. I think I've reported that before, but they keep reporting it, so I don't know why. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers held a throwing session on Sunday with Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf That's a sign he's working with receivers, trying to see if he has some chemistry with them. So is he going to sign with them? I don't know. He's just messing around. He's messing around. 49ers are still out there. They're back in the mix. They could trade Brock Purdy after they sign him with a big contract or not. I wouldn't sign Brock Purdy for a big contract. I would, Aaron Rodgers would be a bridge quarterback. I don't think he's the best bridge quarterback. He doesn't want to help any young guys. I think he's done. I say he's done. I guess he doesn't think he's done. He's playing catch with DK Metcalf. So, Tennessee Titans wide receiver Treylon Burks. He's a decent playmaker for them. He missed a lot of the season last year because of a knee injury. It looks like he's not going to be able to come back from that right now. He will not be exposed for training camp or the early part of the season, maybe mid-season. Washington Commanders, they have started talks with wide receiver Terry McLaurin, their best wide receiver until Deebo Samuel showed. Probably still the best receiver. He's the number one guy. They're trying to get extension for him and not have this be a mess where they got to do what the Bengals do and all that. They're going to be a better business team than that. And that's probably good for them. ELF, European League of Football, the Vienna Vikings signed former CFL and USFL player Dennis Amani. He's an American defensive back. That's good for them. He spent some time in rookie minicamp for the Cleveland Browns in 2020. He spent time in the Toronto Argonauts CFL. He's played along with the Philadelphia Stars in the USFL. His former head coach, Bart Artis, is at the Frankfurt Galaxy, so he has some experience with ELF. He knows some stuff about it. He's coming over. Probably be a good pick for the Vienna Vikings. They're trying to make a push to another championship. They got to the championship last year and lost to the Running Fire. I think they want to go over the top. Paris Musketeers, they have re-signed running back Chris Vuumbo. He had a good year last year. He played 11 games, 85 carries, 497 yards, 4 touchdowns. He averaged 5.85 yards per carry. I would feed him the ball more if I was them. But they play a lot of their football through Zach Edwards, their quarterback. He runs the ball too. Ryan Fire, they hired Paul Dunn as their offensive line coach. He has experience in the NFL with the NFL because the Houston Texans. He has experience in the CFL, Montreal Alouettes. He has college football experience at Penn State, Rutgers, Cincinnati, Kansas State, and Kentucky. So they lost a lot of their talent to the Norwich Storm, but I think they're trying to recover what they can, and they're bringing in a good offensive line coach to do that. If you can win on the offensive line, defensive line, you have a chance to win the ELF. Like you do every football league that's true about. BC Lions, they have signed wide receiver and kick returner Juwan Mingo. He played for the Renegades. They did not miss him. I mentioned that last week. I think American offensive lineman Tyrann Hunt. He is with the BC Lions. Calgary Stampeders have signed veteran defensive tackle Cedric Wilcox II. Cedric Wilcox is also on ESPN, but his son is Cedric Wilcox II. He's playing for Calgary. They have signed American offensive line Kadir Kunta. They have also signed Saskatchewan Roughriders, have re-signed all CFL offensive lineman Logan Furland. So that's good for them. They dropped him off the roster and they re-signed him. That means they restructured his contract, but they really re-signed him. And for that, Corky, what do you think about the Saskatchewan Roughriders? They are making moves. They're doing what they got to do. I hope they win a Grey Cup. Let's go, Roughriders. Okay, Corky, thanks for that. Okay, and then the BC Lions today have American offensive line Tyler Smith. Play at Western Carolina. They added him. They're balking up on their O-line. They lose 2 picks in the CFL draft, so they're trying to compensate for that, I think. Montreal Alouettes defensive line Buda Jones has retired from Montreal. He played at Troy. Goodbye. And they signed American wide receiver Sean Ryan. Okay. And then the Hamilton Tiger Cats have signed another defensive line, American defensive lineman Malik Hall. They need help on their defensive front. They need to fix their defensive front 7. So they added another defensive line, Malik Hall, to bring into camp. He's 6'3", 235 pounds. He's played 3 games with the Birmingham Stallions in the UFL last year, had 1 tackle. He spent some time in the New York Jets, and he played his college football at Southeastern Oklahoma State. It's a Division II school. Played 43 games, 79 solo tackles, 72 assists, 14 sacks. So generally, the CFL is looked at like youth sports football, which is a college football in Canada. There's only 1 division, and they're kind of looked at as being like Division II equivalent. So I think Division II success probably translates well to the CFL. But I think he has a chance to stick with the team through training camp. We'll see. He'll probably get cut, honestly. But I'm going to write an article about him today saying his strengths and weaknesses. That'll be on CFL News Hub later tonight. All right. So, any closing comments? Wolf BD. Yeah, I thought we had good power rankings in the UFL, the NFL, and I'm excited to see the IFL Power Rankings, and I'm excited to see what the Rookaroo do this week. Rookaroo against the Idaho Horsemen. That should be a good time for everyone. Okay, Corky, anything to say? I think the Saskatchewan Roughriders are making some moves. They're doing some things. Green Bay Packers are knocking it out of the park. Maybe not. I mean, they're low on the list, but whatever. Let's go green teams. Let's go Florida. Woo, go Gators. I'm a crocodile. I'm Corky the crocodile. Okay, well, if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. And check out articles on CFL News Hub and UFL News Hub. I'm writing a CFL News Hub article tonight. I'm going to finish it. I've already started it. I'm going to finish it after dinner. And then check out my Substack, Football Scientific. And then, like I said, subscribe to the channel and like the video if you like it. If you didn't, whatever. And put down what you would like to see. If there's something else you want me to see me do, let me know. I take requests, so let me know. All right, have a good night. Welcome to Football Scientific, and goodbye. Boop. Watch the Vegas Nighthawks and San Diego Strike Force tonight. Should be a good game. Bye.